guess you could say the Overlook Hotel here has something about it that's like shining. Remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths. She called it shiny.
All right, this is One on Jacks, and I'm transmitting from my underground lair under Cheyenne Mountain today. And I spent some time and got a bunch of these clues together. Let's do this. Let's minimize this. Let's go for the real obvious ones. Like and I'm trying to show you that there's a connection between the alchemy that we see in the Philadelphia experiment and let's do this. You zoom in. And Kubrick's alchemy. So here we have, the staple of these movies is the Collins Act. It seems like it's in every one of them. We see it in the Thing. We even see David Keith wielding it. We see it in the Philadelphia experiment. So it's interesting that we see it again, and it's actually used to disable the experiment itself. They use the Collins axe to smash the. Here's the picture I wanted to bring up. So he's about to pick this axe up and destroy the experiment. And also, you'll notice that the axe is changing colors every time you see it. It's a different color. So now it's red. It was blue a minute ago. And he has what appears to be sort of like a space helmet on, a space suit. Here it is again. Now it's purple. So it went from red to purple to blue to green. So as you're watching this scene, the color wheel is rotating. Hence the name rainbow. And let's close this. So here he is destroying it. And here we have a side by side. Here's when it's blue. Here's when it's red. So the colors are spinning around like a rainbow. This is interesting. These are the alchemical details that are contained in the movie itself. Here we have the credits at the end of the movie, and it says additional optical composites, Lookout Mountain. So that's fascinating. Is this the Lookout Mountain? I don't know, but it says Lookout Mountain. Even if it isn't the original Lookout Mountain in Laurel Canyon, just the fact that the name Lookout Mountain is used, and of course Lookout and Overlook are synonyms. And the Overlook Hotel is the hotel that burns down in Laurel Canyon. It's situated right near the log cabin, the infamous log cabin where all the military industrial rock stars got their start. And so that's interesting. Does it prove anything? No, it doesn't really prove anything, but It it's weird. Here's another little tidbit. In the movie, the theme song for the movie is written by Eric Tomlinson, and then it's redone by Manfred Mann and his Earth Band. So we have an Earth Band, Manfred Mann. And Mann is a beer. Mann is also a beer. And the name of the song is the Runner in the Night. The Runner in the Night. So it's in the movie, and the lyrics of it are all chemical in itself, but it's the Runner. So we have the Blade Runner and the Skywalker and the Laurie Strode and the Woody Strode and the NASA crawler and the hippity hop and the bunny hop and one small step, one giant leap. And we have Woody Strode, the Woody Strode, the high jumper. So here we have the Runner is the name of the song. This is the theme for this movie, and so that's interesting. And also, there's connections between this guy. I have it written down somewhere. I'm going to look at it in a minute. But this guy's connected into the whole puzzle already, which I'll show you in a minute. So yeah, and it's recorded in Abbey Road Studios, London, England. So the same place where the Beatles were. You've got a Lee in it too. I didn't even go into that, but you got Lookout Mountain, you got a Lee, and the rest of this is pretty. Got another Lee. So that's interesting. This is the first Time Machine movie, and the guy that plays the lead, and his name is Rod Taylor. So a rod is another slang word for your Peter, your Johnson, your Dick, your Mineshaft, your Peter's projection. So he has a first name that fits, and Taylor is a golf manufacturer, and also you have a tailor who used to sew fabrics and materials and clothing. So his name is perfectly fits into this puzzle. And of course, he has two first names as well. So this is the first time travel movie ever, written by H.G. Wells. I'm going to put this over here. I went over that in the other one, but I want to go over it again. Here we have the Coke product placement exactly when the 911 car is behind them. And he'd never seen a pop top before, so he's amazed with the pop top. What is this one here? Oh, this is the Camaro. So this is the John DeLorean designs the Firebird. Well, the sister car to the Firebird is the Camaro. They're almost essentially the same car. Well, there are differences. The grills are different. But we see this car repeatedly in the movie. They keep showing us the Camaro. In the puzzle, we have a reoccurring theme of horses and cowboys and horseshoes and saddles and spurs and famous racehorses and famous movie horses like Silver and Trigger. So horses are a big part of the puzzle language, and they're not left out of this movie. They're in the movie several times. We see them in this trailer. So this is a horse trailer. So in the movie The Shining, Kubrick omits the trailer that was in the book. In the book, the little Beetle has a two-wheel trailer that it pulls behind it. And this mimics the two-wheel chariot that Apollo rides across the sky. He rides his chariot with the four horses across the sky, so he's a horseman. And so we see horses throughout this movie, and actually not the lead, I guess you would say the lead actor would be Michael Paré, but the backup actor, his companion, turns out that he's a cowboy, and he rides horses, and he has a ranch. And the ranch is not just any ranch. It turns out the ranch is actually a lemon tree farm. So we have a lemon tree farm in it. We have the horses. He's a cowboy. We have a male and female horse in the trailer that Michael and Nancy Allen are riding in it when they're getting romantic. So the horses fit in, and of course this horse has the white dot again, which is really common, but still. This is, really bizarre. This is Michael Paré, and he's running down. He's trying to escape the military police. And what kind of car do we see? There's no other car around. No cars driving here. Just this one right here. And what is it? It's an AMC Eagle. Just like the AMC Eagle that we saw in Back to the Future. So let's put this aside because I have the Back to the Future shot as well. Here's the Phoenix on the Trans Am in Smokey and the Bandit. So let's do this. Hold on. I'll get back to it later. But anyway, here's the Phoenix. So this is the other name for the project. So then we have the Playgirl connection. Rocky is in Playgirl. Michael Paré is in Playgirl. And the Lookout Mountain thing again. There's the the Camaro again. There's the Royal Typewriter. So we have a category of typewriters. IBM and Adler. This is a Volkswagen Beetle, or a Volkswagen Rabbit. So rabbits are in our puzzle. You'll notice that they'll put cars, like there'll be background cars sometimes like these, and you're like, yeah, yeah. But there'll always be a car that's near and you can see what kind it is. That's the car you're looking for. And it happens over and over. So here's Nancy Allen, and she's driving a Grand Torino. So you have the Grand Overlook Lodge and 1,000 points of light, and a picture is worth 1,000 words, and the Millennium Falcon, and the 1,000-yard stare, and Han Solo is going to be eaten by the worm and digested over 1,000 years. So it's always 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. She's driving the Grand Torino, and a Torino, I believe, is a reference to a bull. So later in the movie, they drive a Jeep Grand Cherokee Wagoneer. So that's really great because it has the Grand, and it's got the Cherokee Indian name, and it's a Wagoneer. It's a horse and wagon times. So we have two cars that have the first name of being Grand, which is weird. One has a reference to being a Grand Torino, which is a bull. Then you have the other one is a Grand Wagoneer, a Jeep Cherokee Grand, so it's an Indian tribe. It's Grand, and it's a Wagoneer. And as we see this car driving down the road, it passes two large bulldozers. So it's the Grand Torino, and it's driving by the bulldozers. So this is a bull, this is a bull. It's the Grand Torino. So the grand clue is in this puzzle more than once, and the bulldozers are in the puzzle more than once. This is hold on. This is not the first time we'll see two bulldozers. So remember that. We also have another tracked vehicle. Later in the movie, they literally shoot Michael out the roof of this thing into the vortex of the hole in time they made. So we have a tracked vehicle. How many movies do you know that have tracked vehicle? I mean, immediately when you say, "Oh, it's a movie with a tracked vehicle," that's going to be a fraction of the movies out there. So it's just a way of whittling down the percentages. If it's a movie that has to have a tracked vehicle in it, it's so you look at the puzzle so far, and you're like, yeah, the UFO TV show had a tracked vehicle in it, and we have the NASA crawler vehicle, we have the active Fisher Thiacle, or I'm sorry, the active Fisher snow track, we have the Thiacle snow sprite, the Bombardier snow dozer. So there's a lot of tracked vehicles in this puzzle so far. So it fits that. So we have the tracked vehicle. There's a commercial playing on the television when they're in the hotel room. So this is Michael Paré and Nancy Allen, and they're in the hotel room. And an ad comes up for the Rainbow system from Digital. So we have IBM and HAL. We have in The Thing, we have Mac Ready and Windows. Are the two characters' names, Mac Ready and Windows. And so a Macintosh is an Apple. So that's interesting. So we have a connection to Rainbow and the digital computer system. In this commercial, they're talking about a dual processor digital computer system. And let's put this over to the side for a second. We're going to come back to that. There's the Collins, and this time it's purple. Now I see purple, the purple axe. It's changing colors. This is a weird one I noticed in The Shining. There's the switch outside Ullman's office changes into a type like this, which is, instead of being a single vertical switch, it's two horizontal switches. And these are possible. People do put these in, but they're very, very odd. They're not a standard kind of switch you would put in a. And in The Shining, it changes from not having a switch at all to having this kind of weird switch. So I mentioned that during the Apollo 1 test, it was called the plugs out test. And in one scene with Tony Burton, we see the plug disappear. So it was the plugs out test. But this is interesting. I've seen this. This is not the first time I've seen this odd switch clue. So it's another pattern. The Coca-Cola is used over and over. It's obviously was one of the marketing sponsors of this movie. And also we see these pictures behind them. This is a fox hunt. There's horses jumping over a little river, and they're chasing the fox. So in the movie The Shining, in room 237, we see the fox painting. So there's another connection. And this, I believe, is some kind of cosmogony. Maybe this is the Earth. I'm not really sure right here, but I've seen that before in hotel rooms. Let's close that. This is an interesting one. It says sports from all around the world, all around the clock. So in the puzzle that we've figured out so far, we have sports greats from modern day all the way back to the beginnings of baseball and football. So it's interesting that this is on, and we see this magazine like 3 times, and he holds it up so we can read it. And she's placing her talking alarm clock on the counter here, and she presses the button, and it tells him what time it is. So we have the digital computer Rainbow commercial that comes on TV. And TVs are being used as a clue set. In The Shining, we see Carson City playing on the television when Wendy gets the call from Jack. Well, Carson City was a movie about tunneling through a mountain, but in a very unusual way. They were tunneling through a mountain from both sides of the mountain at the same time. So sort of like in this movie, they're tunneling through time, and they do it by tunneling from 1984 to 1943. So that's a weird sync with the Carson City movie that they're tunneling through a mountain using two directions at the same time. And in the Philadelphia Experiment movie, they're talking about creating a tunnel between two different times by tunneling through from both sides. A wormhole, say. So there's a talking alarm clock. Now, in The Thing with Kurt Russell, he plays chess with a computer, but it's not just a regular computer. It's a talking computer. So the computer's talking to him and announcing its moves, and it tells him that it checkmates him. So now we have a talking clock, which is basically they've miniaturized the computer talking part onto a chip, and now it's in a clock. So we have the cuckoo clock, we have the grandfather clock, we have the Timerex with a white metal wristlet, we have You Sold Me a Crummy Watch, you have an atomic clock, you have the clock tower in Back to the Future. So now you have a talking clock, computer talking clock. So Michael Paré picks the talking clock up and he plays with it, obviously in the movie, enough so that it becomes annoying to Nancy Allen. And he chain smokes the whole movie. So here's the 911 behind them, and the Coke placement and the 911 are almost simultaneous. They show up, and then right after the scene, the 911 disappears, and then it reappears. So there it is. It's about to pass them here. So there's a couple of interesting things about this 911 besides they mention it after it passes, and he says, "Oh, what's that?" And she says, "Oh, I think that's a Porsche." And he's like, "Oh, I like that." But if you look carefully as the car passes, it's a 911 Cabriolet. It doesn't have a top. You can see the windshield, but the back of the car is gone here. But the problem with that is after it passes them, God, I hope I have a shot of it. Oh, here's where it disappears. She gives him the Coke. The 911 appears. Then they cut it for a split second, and she's talking to him again, and the car disappears. And then a split second later, they're talking again, and there it is. It's ready to pass them. And it appears to be a cabriolet. There's another shot of it. I think I have another shot as it goes by them. It once again appears to be a cabriolet, which would be a convertible 911. So we see that, and this is let's look at what a cabriolet is, so you know what I'm talking about. Cabriolet, you're not going to see the roof behind it if the roof is down, if the top is down, and you can see the windshield pillar, but you don't see the back of the car. It's missing because it's folded down. You can see the little cabriolet thing here. Once again, this is objective. I don't have this on DVD, so I don't have a super great picture. If somebody has that on DVD, pull that picture up and see if you can determine if I'm correct. So this is another scene from the movie. Oh, I'm going to find the shot for this. But anyway, after it passes them and it goes in front of them, it turns into a brown Carrera hardtop. So that's weird. And I have that picture here. There's another shot in the movie, and we see there's a gentleman. He's a blacksmith, and he shoes horses. And in the scene where they're driving by, they cut to this gentleman, and he's actually hammering the nails in and reshoeing a horse. So the horseshoe is in Kubrick's puzzle numerous times. I just watched it again, and I had to retract that. It's not a convertible. It looks like it is, but it goes by. But anyway, it's a 911 that disappears, reappears, and then we see it drive by, and they comment on it, and he says, "Oh, that's what I'm all about." So we have 911 in here. We have the guy shoeing the horse, the blacksmith, and right before he does the shoeing thing, there's a young colt runs by in the scene. Here it is right here. They're pulling up, and this little young colt runs around, almost like it was staged to happen that way. And then you have the guy the blacksmith. He's hammering on his anvil over here. And then they cut to the scene where he's shoeing the horse. And here's the Jeep Cherokee Grand Wagoneer. Here's a scene out of the movie, and once again, we've got a mirrored salt flat that's flooded. So the Donner Party crossed the Great Salt Flats, and during when it was flooded. So they would have seen this same thing with the perfectly mirrored sky on the salt flat. So what is a flat Earth proof doing in a movie about time travel? That's interesting. And he tells them, "Oh, it's a mirage." They're walking in the desert. And he goes, "It looks like there's water up ahead." And he goes, "No, that's a mirage." And a few minutes later, they're walking in water, so it's a flooded salt plain. Earlier, I mentioned that we saw two bulldozers operating and pushing soil around. Here we have two more bulldozers that we see twice. We see them now, and we see them as they leave this place. We have a hand painting of a black horse in Jimmy's house, the cowboy who rides horses and has them shoed and has his own blacksmith. Here's Jimmy. This is he's grown up now. He's no longer a young man in the Philadelphia experiment. He's an older man. He's a cowboy, and apparently when he returned to the ship, he was declared a mental patient. They put him in a hospital and drugged him up and told him he was crazy. So David Hurtig goes to visit his friend Jimmy, who's now an old man. Jimmy freaks out, rides off on his horse, runs in the house, and grabs a big bottle of VO. So this would be Seagram's VO. And I think this is 12 or 24-year-old VO. That doesn't come in this bottle unless it's the old stuff. So it's probably a 12-year-old scotch. Or actually, I think that's a single malt. It's a single barrel. So they're driving, they're trying to escape from the military police, and they're driving through Jimmy's farm, and we notice that it's a lemon farm. These are lemon trees. You can actually see them hanging here. There's little lemons here. But you actually get to see a close-up one sitting on the ground. So they alert you that, yes, you're driving through a lemon tree farm. And then you have the horses again. You have the blue VW Beetle. So we see this blue VW Beetle in the Overlook parking lot. And as we see it, we see the Camaro's doing a U-turn here. This is from the previous video. We have John Carpenter doing an interview, and he has all these UFO books behind him in the back. UFO cover-up up here, and ghosts. So it's like an alchemy, and he's a chain smoker. And so he's involved he's executive producer of the movie The Philadelphia Experiment. So he's a one-eyed Jack, Johnny. Here's another scene in the movie where we see the military police running after David. And this gentleman here is the hidden Indian. He is half Indian. So he's one of the more famous Indian actors out there. So we have an Indian in the movie as well. So, once again, it's a puzzle that's designed statistically. Like, if you're a redhead, you're 1 out of 100. Okay? If you're a Native American Indian actor, that's not 1 out of 100 now. That's 1 out of thousands. So it's all about the improbability of it all. So we have a Native American actor. He's the head of security. He's seen in the movie numerous times. He's really the only military person that we interface in the whole movie is this gentleman here. And it turns out he's half American Indian. So this is a Porsche 911 that passes him. It's not a cabriolet. I was wrong. So a Porsche 911 passes him, and it disappears before it passes him. At the Collins X. This is blue at this point. This is red. This is the truck they steal later on in the movie, and it's called a club cab, and it's a three-quarter ton club cab. And the club cab thing, I think they called it a club cab because this is where you would put your golf clubs because it's not big enough really for much more than that. They also made an extended cab, which had a door, but this is not the extended cab that's in the movie. It's a club cab. So it's a Dodge three-quarter ton club cab. So we have a golf club clue. You know, James Brolin, he's in Capricorn 1. He's in the Playgirl magazine. The actual ship renamed the Leon, and Leon is lion, is what the name translates to. So you have Leon Vitali, is born the same day as Stanley Kubrick, July 26th. He's a Leo. Leon is a lion. Leo, the zodiac, is a lion. So we have cats in the puzzle. You have Sylvester Stallone, a Looney Tunes cat, a house cat. You have the leopard and the cat lady, and I've made lists of these before. So big cats are, you have Tony the tiger. The cereal box disappears. They're great. So it's renamed the Leon, which is a lion, and it's a ship in the Greek Navy, and it appears in the Greek edition of Playboy magazine, and the pictures of the ship are actually in the. So it's a Playboy model. This is a shot of this is Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski hanging out with Hugh Hefner. So now let's go back to the beginning of the puzzle. When we and well, it's kind of hard to say beginning because it doesn't really have any linear time dimension. It's always jumping around to different times. But we have Woody Strode, the first black professional football player. We have Woody Strode, the UCLA high jumper, and he has Neptune's trident. And I've said numerous times this puzzle always relies on Roman and Greek gods and their attributes. So one of the attributes of Neptune, which would be Poseidon, is his trident. So this is King Neptune's trident right here. So we jump into the Back to the Future movie, and we have the Neptune's enchantment under the sea dance. Okay, let's move this aside. There's Mick Jagger. He's in Playgirl. He's a Rolling Stone, born the same day Kubrick is. And he's in another time travel movie called Free Jack. So all things Jack is going to have Free Jack in it because it's a movie named Free Jack. Jack reads Playgirl in the Overlook. Sylvester is a cat, just like Leo the lion, which would be July 23rd to August something. Here's an actual shot of the astronauts on the moon, and I don't have a close-up of this, but if we had a close-up of it, you could see the Playboy model on his mission log on his hand. So the Playboy models went to the moon with the astronauts. And here we have Neptune and his trident. And in this scene, there's a song playing in the background. And the name of the song is Night Train. And let me see if I have the clip here. Okay, here it is. Now, the reason I played that because in the movie Eyes Wide Shut, and unfortunately, I found a clip of it online, and the audio is so crappy you can't even hear it. But in the movie Eyes Wide Shut, when Tom Cruise goes to Gillespie's to see Nick Nightingale, as he's walking up the door, Nick Nightingale does something that's called quoting. So, really good jazz players and really good blues players and really good musicians, they get so good at it, they can actually, in the middle of a different song, they'll quote a passage from a famous song. And in the instance of when Tom Cruise walks up to Gillespie's, Nick Nightingale on the piano quotes, does a quote from Night Train. So he does a little riff on the piano, you know, ba-bing, ba-ba, ba-doom, ba-da, da-doom, ba-da, and he only does it once, and he does it very quickly, and you either catch it or you don't catch it. But he's giving you one quote from Night Train. So obviously trains are in our puzzle. You know, there's horse and train and snow tracks and all the other stuff. So it's another little ethereal connection to Chuck Berry and Marvin Berry. So it's Marvin Berry and the Starlighters. So, you know, we must supply our own light and it's full of stars. So the Starlighters fit perfectly. And it's Marvin Berry, and he calls his brother on the phone, Chuck Berry, who is the real king of rock and roll. I mean, Elvis was called the king of rock and roll, but in reality, Chuck Berry was the king of rock and roll. And Chuck Berry's song, Johnny Be Good. Now, we already know we have All Things Jack. So if you're making a list of All Things Jack, the song Johnny Be Good is going to be in the list. It's like the most famous rock and roll, really the most famous rock and roll song. It was like the nucleus of the rock and roll music craze was Chuck Berry. And it turns out that his song ends up on the Voyager rocket. There was Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. So the gold record that is sent on a rocket that travels outside our own universe or our own solar system has a copy of Johnny Be Good on the gold record. So you have an association with NASA, Chuck Berry, Johnny Be Good, Back to the Future, Night Train, and so it's interesting. And we already know that since we know satellites are not real and none of, so all of this is bullshit. There's no gold record that travel outside our solar system. It's a crock of shit. So I think the reason they gave you um, the king of rock and roll was because it fits in your puzzle, and B, his song that they include in the movie is the exact song that ends up on the NASA Voyager rocket. That you know, so it's ridiculous, but so that's why Chuck Berry. So we go to Chuck Berry and we look up his birthday, and he's born October 18th. This is the death day of Redrum the horse, and the birthday of Lee Harvey Oswald. So you know, like I said before, this puzzle is woven together. So we have to interpolate that we're talking about Chuck Berry, which isn't really that hard because you know Marvin Berry calls his brother, and Chuck Berry fits right in the puzzle. He's the king of rock and roll, the unofficial king of rock and roll. He has a birthday of October 18th. So we go to Redrum the horse, and Redrum the horse, the five-time Grand National champion. Um, I don't know, 73, no, three-time Grand National champion. He dies October 18th, the same day as Chuck Berry's birthday. So let's go. So then we're talking about cowboys and horses and horseshoes and horse crater and Mare and Stallion and Mustang and Morgan and so we go to Cowboy from Full Metal Jacket, Arliss Howard, and he has a birthday October 18th. So we have a Nexus, another Nexus date, October 18th. It's Chuck Berry. October 18th is Red Room the Horse. October 18th is Arliss Howard. And of course, the clincher for the whole October 18th thing is Lee Harvey Oswald's birthday is October 18th. So we have Oswald, we have Chuck Berry, we have Red Rum, the horse, which is included in Kubrick's puzzle 10 different ways, um, and then Arliss Howard, cowboy. So you've got a cowboy, you got a horse that dies October 18th, you've got Chuck Berry, unofficial king of rock and roll. His gold record, Johnny B. Good, goes out of the solar system. And then Lee Harvey Oswald, the man that shoots Kennedy from the book Suppository. So we have Night Train in Back to the Future. So we come to Neptune and his trident, and we had Woody Strode in Spartacus with Neptune's trident. We have George C. Scott in Doctor Strangelove, chain eating trident gum. So we have a category of horses: Red Room and Blackjack and Mare and Stallion and the Italian Stallion. So it turns out that Neptune is the father of the horse. He is credited with creating the first horse. And he also is famous for having his horse Pegasus. So we're at the Neptune Under the Sea Dance, which is a movie about time travel. And we have Neptune's trident, one of the Titans, of course, in the Battle of the Titans. So we had Jupiter, now we have Neptune. So we have two of the main ones already. We got Jupiter from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kubrick changes it. In the book, it's the planet Saturn. In the movie, it's the planet Jupiter, and Jupiter is Zeus. Zeus and his eagle and his lightning bolts. His. So we have once again we're back to the Battle of the Titans. So we have Neptune, and the most famous horse probably of all is Pegasus, his flying horse, mythical flying horse. So in Blade Runner, we see the mythical flying horse, which is the unicorn. And in this, we see Neptune, and his mythical flying horse would be Pegasus. So let's keep going here. So we have the movie They Live. Where is the photo? Let me pause this. So we have the movie They Live. And we see the Bermuda Triangle, which is by Charles Berlitz. And Charles Berlitz co-writes this with William Billy Moore, The Philadelphia Experiment. And we see a book on ESP and two of a kind, so we're always making pairs. We have a book on tennis, this is in our puzzle. We have a book on golf, this is in our puzzle. We have a book on Hollywood, there's a Hollywood magazine. Hollywood is in our puzzle. Hollywood is the wood that magicians make their wands out of. So let's close this. So we have a category of ships. We have the Columbia, the first ship to circumnavigate the globe for the United States. We have the Eldridge. We have the Discovery, Robert Falcon Scott ship. We have the Yankee Clipper, which would be a very fast sailing ship. We have the Yankee Clipper, which would be Joe DiMaggio. And so we already have a large category of ships. Some are sailing ships, some are modern warships, some are spaceships. You have the Eagle and the Falcon and the Yankee Clipper and the Charlie Brown and Snoopy capsules and the Molly Brown capsule, which is the name of the Titanic survivor. So there's numerous ship clues, and we also have admirals too. We have Admiral Byrd and Admiral Forrestal. So and it also translates into Army. You have majors and privates and generals So we have military ranks as well, and we have military ships. So the Eldritch really fits right in perfectly. And one of the Greek gods we're missing is a Mercury. So we had the Mercury program in NASA, but Mercury's attribute, his main attribute, is his invisibility. So if we're looking for Mercury and we're looking for Greek gods, when we get to the movie The Philadelphia Experiment, this could really be used allegorically to represent Mercury, the god that always favors man, messenger of the gods. So the ship disappears. And in Kubrick's puzzle, all along I've said we're always looking for what disappears. We just looked at the instance of the 9/11 car disappearing in that scene. I think it's right here. So the 9/11, it's behind him, then it's not behind him, then it's behind him, and then it passes him. So we're drawing attention to the 9/11, and then it goes missing. Then it comes back out of nowhere and passes them, and they comment on it. So anything that goes missing, we need to look at. And clearly, the Eldridge went missing and appeared in Philadelphia, or appeared in, I think, Norfolk, Virginia, or something. So it's a ship. We have ships in our category. It fits perfectly there. It's a Playboy model. It fits there, which is a bizarre. How many military ships do you know that were in the Greek Playboy magazine? It's a pretty select category, I would think. Jack reads the New Year's edition of Playgirl, so it's a holiday clue. In the movie Rocky, he has a dog, and it's a bull mastiff. So he's an Italian stallion. His dog is a bull mastiff, and his dog's name is I'm gonna forget it now. He's a Chicago Bear, Butkus. So his name's dog. This is his real dog. They went to make the movie, and it's very expensive to rent a movie dog. So they went to Sylvester and said, "Listen, we don't have a budget for a dog. Is there any way you can get a dog?" So he goes, "Yeah, you can use my dog." So this is really actually Sylvester Stallone's personal dog. It's a bull mastiff, and its name is Butkus, named after Dick Butkus, um, a Chicago Bear, I think. I could be wrong with that, but I think he's a bear, Chicago Bear. Um, so we have a football player, we have a bull, we have an Italian stallion, we have a rock, he's Rocky, we have a fake boxer, we have stall and one and lone. So he has lone in his name, one in his name, and stall in his name. So we had a category of horses, and we had saddle crater and spur crater and blackjack and red room. So we don't actually, and we have a stable boy. We have Sirhan, but we don't have the stall where you actually have the horse. So he's stall one, and he's lone one, and he's a Looney Tunes character. He's Sylvester, and he's Italian. So, just in one picture with one character that he did in a movie, he fits way too many categories for it to be accidental. Way too many bizarre categories. Like, he's a fake boxer, his dog is a bull, his name is a Looney Tune, and yada yada yada. And he plays Rocky, a rock, and of course it's filmed. Where is it filmed? It's filmed in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. So, we have connections to time travel that are not just in this movie as well. We have Adrienne Corey, she plays the redhead with the jumpsuit on, so always jumping, hopping, leaping. And the little droogies, they're wearing their cod pieces, they're ball protectors. So the Masons are the ball protectors of the world. It's their job to keep the ball lie going, So when they start doing the Michelson-Morley experiments, and they're like, yeah, the experiments are not fitting the theory. They had to do something. So their response was they planned the moon missions, and they figured it would just brainwash everybody that, oh yeah, Space is real. We go there, and we landed on the moon. Yada yada yada. So here's Adrienne Corey, and she happens to be in the Doctor Who show as well, and she's a redhead, and she's wearing a jumpsuit, and we see her in her birthday suit as well. So it's Project Invisibility. They were trying to make the ship invisible, and they ended up creating a tunnel between 1943 and 1984. I talked about Leo the Lion, and Kubrick was a Leo, and it's a zodiac, and we have the doubled tiger game. If you notice, the tiger logo on this game is to the left and down. This one is to the right. So this tiger game and this tiger game are not the same game. They've been switched, and also the little blackboard that's in front of it, the chalk blackboard, has been moved. So this is a clue to Operation Fishbowl. We have an Operation Fishbowl here, and it has a little white, looks like a white tiger head or something, some kind of head in the bowl. And then a split second later, the head's gone and the tiger game has changed. So we're being drawn attention to tigers and fish bowls. So they play Night Train. And it's Marvin Berry and the Starlighters. So the Starlighters fit. Um, and of course, he's playing a Gibson guitar. So in The Shining, he had Billy Gibson as the old lady in the bathtub. So I think we're being given clues to actual musical instruments as well. Let me close this. Let's see here. So this is the January issue. It's a holiday clue. Here's Pegasus, the flying horse. This is a shot from the movie, and we see a dome. That's interesting. And now the rest of this is going to be stuff that's just weird. Now, the bizarro thing about Michael Paré, more bizarre than the fact he's in Playgirl, is he's in Playgirl, but he's in Playgirl with Nancy Allen. Nancy Allen is on the cover with him. So this is the exact actor and actress from the movie The Philadelphia Experiment. So this is more bizarre than it's just Michael Paré's in the magazine. This is Michael Paré and Nancy Allen are in the magazine. So they're drawing attention to the fact that these two were in the same movie and yada yada yada. So that's bizarre. And Stallone is in Playgirl, and there's a bunch of people. All the people in this puzzle, a lot of the male stars. So here's the AMC Eagle. So here we are in Back to the Future, and Jennifer's dad comes to pick her up, and he's got the faux wood grain AMC Eagle, the first production U.S. made four-wheel drive passenger wagon. And then we go to the movie Philadelphia Experiment, and we see the same car. So that's bizarre. And this is Michael right here. He's running. There's Smokey and the Bandit. I'm going to go into this movie next, probably. It's bizarre on how many clues they could get into it because it was a comedy and nobody was really looking for alchemy in this movie. They just assumed it was going to be a lowbrow, dumb movie about car chases. And they were wrong. So we talked about holidays. Jack is reading the New Year's edition of Playgirl, and we have James Longstreet is the name of the scientist that runs the experiment in the movie. So in Kubrick's puzzle, we typically flip things around. So if I split long street into two words, long and street, and I change long into its mirror, its palindrome, which would be short, you come up with short street or short road or shortcut. Now, the Donners were told there was a shortcut to California. And the allegorical puzzle, in the allegorical puzzle before this, we were drawing parallels between Kennedy telling everybody that we choose to go to the moon and do the other things. So he was the foolish, boasting politician, boasting that we were going to go to the moon. And then you have the Donner Party allegory, and you have a foolish, boasting politician tells the Donners that this is this special shortcut through to California, and that's going to shave a lot of time off their trip. And in the real world, there's very rarely are there shortcuts. So I find it interesting that they name him Longstreet in the movie, and he's Eric Christmas. So if we go to Dumb and Dumber, we have Jim Carrey, and he stays at the Stanley Hotel, founded by the Stanley twins, one of who suffers from tuberculosis. And his name is Lloyd Christmas. So isn't that interesting? You know, how many people do you know with the last name of Christmas? That's pretty bizarre. And Pare, I'm gonna have to find out what that exactly translates to. Um, in French. I think I looked it up and it said firewall or something like that. But if anybody knows alternate translations of pare, or if I'm even pronouncing it correctly. Also in the movie, we see the F-15 Eagle. Uh, so, we have the B-52, and we already had the F-15 Eagle and the F-16 Falcon from Top Gun, and Tommy Cruise Maverick there. Here's the Charger. Now, this is an interesting one I found out. I did not know this till today. Oh, here's they live, where he's playing chess with the computer, and the computer just talking. It's a talking computer, just like the talking alarm clock and the singing IBM computer. So we had Mr. Christmas was in the movie, and then we go to another page and we have Ken Holiday. You know, so is that another bizarre coincidence? Don't know. Yeah, so Marvin Berry and the Starlighters. So star and light, he fits in perfectly. We must provide our own light. It's full of stars. So here he is. Let's see what it says on here. It doesn't really say a lot here. But that's his Playgirl issue he's in with Nancy Allen there. Here he is again. He's in again. This is a different one, I think. Oh, this is from when he did Eddie and the Cruisers. So he was already a Playgirl model by the time he did the Philadelphia Experiment. The whirlpool. In this movie, the Philadelphia Experiment, there's a giant vortex that's sucking everything in, and they're afraid that's going to consume the entire planet. So yeah, you have The Runner in the Night by Manfred Mann and his Earth Band. So that fits. There's the AMC Eagle with the faux wood on it. There's a flying Pinto from the Blues Brothers. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. It's just I didn't come up with it. Someone else did. It collapsed. That's pretty good. There's Zeus and his eagle and his lightning bolts, his white lightning bolts. Um, this is Wilford Brimley, Mr. Diabetes, and he ties a noose when he's waiting in the movie The Thing, and he drinks Everclear. McCready leaves him a bottle of Everclear, which is moonshine, grain alcohol. All right, here we go. So we have this Charger, all right, and we have the Plymouth Superbird, which I believe, even to this day, is the most aerodynamically efficient car ever made, but I could be wrong. I'm going to have to double check that, but I know it had like a drag coefficient of 0.26, which was really good. There wasn't any car that, they added this nose on. And they did this, they knew they wanted to win. And by doing this and adding this wing on, there was really nothing that could touch them. So here's a Plymouth GTX. Here's a Plymouth Superbird. Here's a Charger. These are all the same car. They just have different noses on. This has a fake nose. Okay? Just like Tycho Brahe had a fake nose. Now we get into the category I didn't know. It turns out that they made a satellite Sebring, which I have a picture of here somewhere. There it is. No, okay, this is the Roadrunner. We're all the same exact car. Here it is. So you have the Plymouth Sebring, which would be a bizarre sync with Jay Sebring, who died in the Tate murders. He was a fashion designer, like Oleg Cassini was a fashion designer, and he designed the Matador that flies in the Bond movie. So you could buy a Plymouth Sebring, you could buy a Plymouth Roadrunner. There's the Sebring side panel. You could get a Plymouth GTX Challenger. You could get a Superbird, or you could get the Charger. But no matter what one you got, they're all the same freaking car. They just changed the grill. They put a fake nose on it and a wing. Um, so it's interesting that it connects to that many different vehicles. So when you watch the Dukes of Hazzard, it's the same car. The General Lee. This is a thing that keeps reoccurring, and I don't have a full solution to it yet, but it's always seven diamonds. And this bottom one is the most interesting of them all. It almost looks like it's three frames of a movie laying on top of each other. You have a sled with Blade Runners on it. This is a new one I found. A lot of the, and I don't have all the names and dates and everything, but a lot of the NASA astronauts got stamps, and they brought them to the moon with them. And then when they came back, they sold them for big money. They were moon stamps. So this is made a big deal of during the moon missions. They talk about the stamps, and we're going to do this stamp and that stamp. And you can look this up online. And I'll probably do some more research on it tomorrow, just so I have the specifics on it. But it's just another sync with Kubrick's birthday. So you have the moon astronauts are bringing U.S. postal stamps with them. We have the Alex Koval picture where the horse and the train is about to drop the postal satchel off at the postal drop. This is an interesting photograph. We know that Bill Greer stopped the limo in the Kennedy assassination. So why did Bill Greer stop the limo right at the grassy knoll? because he almost got shot in the head already. They were missing Kennedy, and they almost killed him. So I think he made a decision. Listen, I'm either going to get shot in the head accidentally, or I'm going to stop this freaking car, and they can kill Kennedy and get it over with. So he stopped the car. So that was the bullet hole in the windshield. This I saw the other day. This is fascinating. You got Danny Lloyd. He's all grown up now, and he's holding a picture of him in the labyrinth, and he's in a cemetery. So you don't have to be Kreskin the alchemist to figure out that he's telling you that, yeah, the Minotaur feeds and it's filling up this cemetery with all the people that are involved in this puzzle, including Kubrick and Anya and Scatman and all the other people in it. So, am I interpreting this picture correctly? I don't know how else would you interpret it. He's got a picture of the labyrinth and he's in a cemetery. It's not really ambiguous. So yeah, this car came in a million flavors. This is plum crazy purple right here. This is another picture I found. This is the World's Fair, and we see the big Masonic Grand Lodge right inside. So you can go in and join up for the fake moon missions and stuff. Yeah, this is a very famous car, and we have a very famous Dick drove this car. So I find that interesting. And once again, we're always using vehicles. And this is Tim Carey and his Morgan, and he gets a flat tire with a horseshoe. And cannibalism is repeated over and over and over. We're talking about someone or something living on this planet that's consuming people, and not every now and then, all the time. It's feeding on us. It's even repeated in the movie They Live when the preacher's talking about. He goes, "They're out there. They're feeding on us from birth, from death to grave, or from birth to grave. They feed on us." And he means that literally. Yeah. So there's a Operation High Jump. And I think that's it for this. I mean, I hope I covered enough of the time travel clues. I didn't really get into. Let me go over one more thing while I'm on here. Let's do a quick summary here. So you have the ship, the Eldridge. It turns into the Leon, which means lion, which is a zodiac sign, which is Kubrick's zodiac sign. We have Philly and Rocky. It's filmed in Philadelphia. We have Philly the horse. We have Mare and Blackjack and Red Room and Stallion. We have the Steadicam we follow. Garrett Brown invents it. His last name's a color. We have Rocky the Rock. We have the Balboa, a snake. We have Stallone, Stall 1, or STAL, Lone. So that's a bizarre Lone 1 in his name. He's a Looney Tunes. He's the Italian stallion, a horse. So we have the colt, the Mary, the stallion. With Philly is where it's filmed it, and he's a stallion. That makes sense. His dog is a bull mastiff named Butkus, named after Dick Butkus, a Chicago bear. So we have the bull's eyes and the map and the A map and the cycloptic minotaur with a one-eyed bull. Hal is a one-eyed bullseye. He's a fake boxer, just like Gary Lockwood in 2001. He shadow boxes. Or you even have Ryan O'Neal boxes in Barry Lyndon. So it's the Philadelphia Project, Project Rainbow. We see the digital rainbow computer commercial during the movie. We see the talking alarm clock. This is being mirrored. We see the singing computer in 2001, Daisy Daisy, IBM. We jump into the Thing, and we have the two main characters, or two of the characters' names are Mac Ready and Windows. So Mac Ready is a computer that's ready for Macintosh, and a Macintosh is an Apple. And Windows is an operating system. So you go to Apollo 15, And it turns out there's an OS crater, the letter OS, O and S crater. So OS is slang for operating system. So I find it really bizarre that Apollo 15 has an OS crater, and we're pointed to Mac Ready and Windows and IBM and digital in this particular movie. They're pointing us to digital and the rainbow. Digital's new rainbow computer. So, so we have the talking alarm clock, the singing IBM computer, the talking chess computer, and they live. The Star Trek computer in Star Trek, the voice was done by Gene Roddenberry's wife. She stars in the first episode, The Cage. She's number one, so she does the voice for the computer in all the Star Treks. You have Rainbow and Judy Garland. In the end of The Shining, if you watch the subtitles, Jack is singing California Here We Come, which was a song that Judy Garland had covered. So it's a little clue to Judy Garland and Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I Follow the Yellow Brick Road, and the Ruby Slippers, and Vortexes and Tornadoes. And so you have Rainbow and Eyes Wide Shut. You have Under the Rainbow and Over the Rainbow Costume Shop. You have Nuala Windsor. So you had Marie Windsor in The Killing. And in Eyes Wide Shut, you have Nuala Windsor. So they're repeating the Windsor again because we're looking for House of Windsor. And they ask him, don't you want to go where the rainbow ends? And then you have the rainbow clues to Scotch-Light Screen. It's basically composed of glass spheres that mimic a rainbow. The water droplets in a rainbow. And it's made of Scotch-Light fabric. So they took bolts of fabric and they sewed them together to make the fakery for the NASA Apollo missions. And a rainbow occurs at 42 degrees. And we have Woody Strode and his Neptune's Trident. We have George C. Scott obsessively chews Trident chewing gum in Dr. Strangelove. And of course, all the horses can be drawn right back to one god, Neptune. He creates the first horse in the myth anyway. Neptune creates the first horse. He's the father of horses. And also he creates Pegasus. When Perseus cuts the head off Medusa, out of her head springs Pegasus, the mythical flying horse. And you have the Montauk Project. So you have the Jeep Cherokee. You have Cochise Crater on Apollo 15. You have Bowman. So all the American Indians were bowmen. And what is the other one? Oh, yeah, you have the Choctaw helicopter, and the Bell Jet Ranger. This is a different category, but so you have all these Indian tribes, and you have General Custard and Crazy Horse. And the one I left out before is Geronimo. And Geronimo has a very interesting, his skull anyway, has a very interesting history. It's rumored that his skull is kept in the Skull and Bones and used in the Skull and Bones ceremony. And the person that is rumored to have stolen Geronimo's skull would be George Herbert Walker Bush's father. And it was stolen from Walker Air Force Base by a Walker. So I find that interesting. And you have Project Phoenix, the DeLorean with the angry chicken on the hood. And Playgirl, Stallone. Leon is a zodiac. It's lion. Stanley Kubrick's sign. And Leon Vitale, same thing. He's a Leo. You have Malcolm McDowell is in Time After Time. He plays H.G. Wells, a redhead. He marries Mary Steenburgen. She ends up in Back to the Future with Christopher Lloyd, who was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So, I mean, this thing is just woven together like, a magic rug. You got Rod Taylor in the Time Machine. So Taylor is a golf manufacturer. Taylor is somebody that tailor's clothes, a seamstress, a tailor, a terrier, a weaver. And of course, rod is a slang term for your cock. So it's your rod, it's your Peter, it's your Dick, it's your mine shaft, it's your Peter's projection, it's your Johnson, it's your Woody, it's your whatever. This I've made lists of these before. H.G. Wells, a picture of H.G. Wells is on the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's album. He's a redhead. So that's, there's too many of these H.G. Wells clues. And you have Eric Stoltz as the hidden redhead in Back to the Future. He's still in the movie, but he doesn't really get credit. And then you have the redheads Claudia Wells and Elizabeth Shue and, Doc Brown. So Doc Brown is a direct correlation to T. Townsend Brown, one of the early pioneers of anti-gravity. And I think anti-gravity ended up turning into, I guess, teleportation or time travel or whatever you would call it. And that's it for part 59, I believe this is. And have a great day, guys. Sorry it took me so long to get this done, but like I said, I'm working on getting a new workstation and a bunch of new equipment to make this easier to do and get it to the point where I can actually edit my videos. And have a great night, guys. Carpe diem.